All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Conman here. How is everyone doing tonight? We've got some patch notes we're going to talk about right now. I'm a little late on this one, as you might see based on the date. So by the time this probably goes up, it will be Thursday night. So a couple days late, unfortunately. Been a little busy with the work thing. Did get to play a little bit though. Normally I wouldn't go through everything, but there is a lot of orange text here. So I kind of just want to give it a big run through and just see what we got going on. So first off, let's see here. Blaze is released. He's out right now. Still think he's fun. Still, I'm a fan of his kit. Still playing through. There will be a video with Blaze forthcoming. I want to play with him a little bit more, kind of get a better feel for some of his builds. I still think he can be main tank. He's got a lot of health, and he's got a lot of disruption between the slow and the interrupt with the dash, and kind of just being in the way and body blocking. Maybe not in every situation, but probably really strong for dive comms, because he has a lot of initiation in terms of that. But more on Blaze to come. Let's go through the rest of it. So here we go. Blaze is out. There we go. We got lots of changes to Battlegrounds, though. So there's been a lot of debate back and forth between whether or not that... since the 2018 gameplay update, that whether or not the gameplay has been a little too snowbally, whether it's been ending sooner. It is a fact that games have technically been ending more quickly, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Lots of push, even though towers and forts and whatnot have unlimited ammo. The fact that you lost like the secondary tower, minions are actually much stronger. It made wave clear kind of at a premium. Plus, the mercs have been super pushy. So lots of changes here. Let's take a quick look. Total health regen over 5 seconds. This is for the first off of the regen globes, which also is a big deal. Regen globes, the total health was reduced, the total mana was slightly reduced. So that was one of the things where basically if you win your lane, you're going to end up with twice the regen globes, and you just make sure that you win your lane twice as hard. So they're nerfing that down just a little bit, which probably will contribute just slightly to that a little bit of dominance if you're winning your lane. Even if you're picking up all of the globes, you won't have quite as much sustain as you did previously. As I mentioned, mercenaries were super strong. They did get a bit of a nerf here. So Hellbats, the armor shred amount was reduced from 5 to 4% per stack. So previously, as they would attack, they would reduce the armor at 5% ticks. Now it's only 4% ticks, so a bit of a tick down here. Their base health was dropped as well. The laner armor, once you've actually, this for defender was when you're actually taking them as a camp. Laner is once that's done and they're in the lane. So the armor is also reduced. The base health is also reduced. The scaling is changed a little bit. It actually makes them weaker in the early game in like the first couple of minutes, but stronger in the late game. So keep that in mind, guys. So the early game mercs are not quite as strong as they were previously, but the late game ones are going to be more important. Same thing goes for the knights here. They actually increased the amount of spell armor, as you can see, both for the defender as well as the... actually, I take that back. I can read good. So for the defender, the spell armor got increased, but the laner, the pushing ones, had the spell armor reduced. Apologies there for misreading that. So that did change a little bit. Lots of changes here for the slime boss and warhead. It looks like the health was reduced. Same thing with the scaling. All of these basically are the scaling. The first 5 minutes of the game, the scaling was reduced, and the next going on from that, the scaling was increased. So they do get stronger as the game goes by. So here we go. Basic attack damage reduced, and then as it goes through, this is increased, reduced in the first couple of minutes, and then increased. Base spit damage over time. This was reduced, but the scaling was increased. Across the board. So it either was reduced for the first 5 minutes or it stayed the same, but the scaling was increased. So again, the boss, here we go. The scaling on the boss will be stronger the longer the game goes on. So forts were actually, the damage was increased. Here we go. Gate tower damage to minions, mercs, monsters, and heroes increased by 33%. Same thing to forts. That's going to go across the board. So it's going to be much more punishing now to dive in on a fort and take damage. You know, they will be a little more significant. This might increase the amount of hits it's going to take to, or actually decrease, excuse me, the amount of hits it's going to take to drop down a mercenary. This will reduce, pushing just a little bit. It means minions won't stay alive quite as long. Mercenaries won't stay alive quite as long if they're left alone. They're going to do a little bit more damage. It means if you're a hero diving in on this, you're going to take a little bit more damage from tower shots and keep shots. It looks like the same thing for the keeps. All of these were increased by 33%. The keep health was also increased a bit as well. So, long story short, all of this is probably going to contribute to longer games across the board. The pushing power of at least especially the early game mercs were reduced a little bit. The damage and the health on the keeps and the forts and the towers were increased a bit. Hopefully that will balance out the reduced game times and kind of reduce sort of the snowballiness, or at the very least get you back into the same times as that we're accustomed to previously. In terms of Towers of Doom, looks like the altar respawn time has been changed a little bit. So instead of every 90 seconds, it's 110 seconds. So you get a little bit more breathing room between spawns. Battlefield Eternity was stabilized a little bit. So the initial stage, first event, it's always going to be south versus north, and the second stage in the first event will always be east versus west. So you get to keep that, you get to know where you're going from the beginning. It's going to be a little less random just from the beginning, which makes sense. That's kind of what they did with the rest of the map. Rest of the maps kind of stabilized that. It looks like the rest of them are going to be randomized. And then the minimap will show the upcoming location 30 seconds after the game begins. So you're going to know in advance like where they're going to be, which again, it does make sense. Big ass developer comment here. As expected, gameplay update for 2018 resulted in large changes to many of our game systems. While we're overall happy with the direction of the update, there have been some unintended side effects that we're hoping to remedy. Overestimated how much more powerful unlimited ammo would be for overestimated, how much more powerful unlimited ammo would be for structures, and as a result, pushing mechanics have become too strong, which is kind of what we were seeing. Kind of what we were seeing before. Mercs were super strong. Anyone left alone in a lane will absolutely shred through towers and keeps, resulting in lower game times on nearly all maps. We're giving towers some of their teeth back with the update, which should help teams hold pushes for mercenary camps on map events. We're also making some tuning changes to some of our merc camps now that so they have some time to see now that they've been performing. Hellbats and Knights in particular are pushing harder than we would like, so we're reducing their power. Also taking a look at the Warhead Junction boss and reducing its early and mid-game pushing power. So like I said, early game less, late game stronger. As it is right now, too strong when combined with nukes from the map event. That's kind of true. Lastly, we are reducing the power of regen globes. While we like the new minigame the neutral regen globe provide in the laning phase, we're not comfortable with how much they are currently benefiting the team that is ahead while they are pushing a defending team. This turned out to be especially true when a team wins an objective, such as an Immortal, such as Brax's Holdout. They win the Zerg wave, and they're just pushing in, and it absolutely dominates the incoming enemy wave. So not only the attacking team gets the wave from that, but they'll eventually get their own, health globe. Super sustain. We're also seeing players picking up more regen globes in general, which was a buff to, regen globe talents. So this will help to keep the game's overall sustain in check. There are some hefty changes. It's likely there will be more needed to be done over time as things continue to settle. We'll be keeping an eye on things and are prepared to make more updates as they're needed. So, long story short, we made some changes. We saw the feedback. We heard the feedback. Games were ending too quickly. We kind of scaled things back a little bit as a hope to change it up. This might not be the end of the changes. So we'll keep in mind. We'll expect more to come. We got a new Heroes Brawl for Dodge Brawl, which I guess would be tomorrow coming up. Tomorrow being Friday, because it's still Blackheart's Bay as of the time of this recording. Well, small change to the ranked battleground. Warhead out, Volskaya in. I tell you what, I still haven't played ranked yet, so I didn't even realize Volskaya wasn't even in the rotation, so there you go. A couple of changes to some heroes. Hanzo got some updates, and I'm actually fond of this so far. I played a couple of Hanzo games. We'll go over it here. Scatter Arrow. The spread of the arrows was reduced by 20%, and the damage was slightly reduced. So basically, in short, it's less of a shotgun effect than it used to be. So the spread's a bit tighter, so it makes it easier to hit targets with more than one arrow. So as a result, they did tone down the damage a little bit. This actually helps out his level 1 quest. It can help out with some mercenaries and whatnot as well. Makes it easier to hit heroes with more than one scatter arrow. Natural agility is trait. Cooldown reduced by 5 seconds, and the range was increased. So this does make the trait a little bit better. It's still kind of a shit trait when you compare it to Genji, but it does make it better. There are still times where it just doesn't feel right because you can get kind of picked off in midair, like you're in the middle of your jump and someone will pull you out of something, which doesn't really feel good. But it makes more sense now. It's a little bit smoother that you can jump over things, and You can really be super mobile when you pair it up with that 13 talent, where you can get resets with your jump and the cooldown reduction. So that's quite nice. And actually, I think we'll talk about that here. Level 7, Shield Breaker removed, which kind of surprised me. Sharpen Arrowheads moved from level 20. This was a level 20 talent. Now it's 7. New functionality, though. Hitting a hero with Storm Bow or basic attacks reduces their armor by 5 for 4 seconds. So previously, you would be able to hit somebody, I think it was at Scatter Arrow, it would zero their armor out. If they had armor at all, it would make it 0. Now it will reduce whatever armor they have. So you have the potential here. So on one hand, it's not going to take somebody with a crap ton of armor to 0. On the other hand, you could potentially make somebody vulnerable. It can go negative where it wouldn't before. Level 13, Mounted Archery, bonus movement speed reduced from 30 to 20%. 16, Giant Slayer damage increased. And at level 20, there's a new ability here called Perfect Agility. Gain a second charge of natural agility and reduce the cooldown by 5 seconds. So this is going to give you a 15-second natural agility with 2 charges. You could pair that with your 13 talent, not Mounted Archery. I forget the name of the other one. I think it's... I don't even remember. I'm not going to pretend to remember off the top of my head. But what it does is gives you resets on kills, and it gives you a 10-second cooldown reduction if you hit somebody with Storm Bow. So it makes you quite mobile if you have a lot of places that you can jump over. So dev comment here, we are reducing the spread of scatter arrows so they're more effective when opponents are directly next to a wall. Yep. While also reducing the damage. We've increased the range of natural agility so that you will jump over a wider variety of terrain, and removed, this is the one thing that surprised me, we'll removed Shield Breaker because we found that it required a very specific set of circumstances to be effective, but it was extremely powerful in those rare situations. I don't know. I don't pretend to understand exactly what Blizzard's balance ideas are, but it seems like that's exactly the point that you would take it when you get into those, you draft into those specific circumstances just to take that talent. But what the hell do I know? We've moved Sharpen Arrowheads to replace it while changing its functionality to be more consistent in all situations. I'm actually quite a fan so far of these changes. Natural agility still kind of feels shitty at times, but it does feel a little bit better now. It's got a little bit longer range, and the cooldown reduction is quite nice. So I'm still a fan. He's still quite mobile when you give him the opportunity, and I like the more tighter spread with the spread arrows. Definitely it's easier to hit heroes with scatter arrow now. Nova got some changes as well. Snipe damage reduced slightly. Pinning shot damage reduced. Precision strike reduced. Precision. I can speak good. Trait damage per stack was actually increased, so the base damage is reduced, but the percentage was increased slightly, which basically means the game is telling you, or Blizzard is telling you, we'll give you bonus damage if you're skilled enough to keep your stacks up. It's kind of where they're going with that. At 7, Perfect Shot cooldown refunded for hitting heroes, increased from 2 to 3 seconds. 1 in the chamber, damage reduced, lethal decoy down to 35%. Now, started at 50, now it's 40, now it's 35, so 35%. Dev comments, it's nice to see the recent changes to Nova have been so widely embraced. However, with the addition of some new escape tools and her ability to have multiple clones, we feel like damage potential against single targets is still a bit too high. She still has a very high win rate. I think she still leads in just about everything. Our data is showing that our talent tree is in a very good spot balance-wise, besides a couple of outliers, which you see here. So we are lowering her base output and compensating by increasing precision strikes. Sniper's damage. So again, the idea is lower the base damage slightly, but you get some of it back if you can keep your stacks up. No, actually, there's one thing I wanted to show off. Where was it? It is up here with Blaze. Did it actually do it? Nope, they didn't do it here. Oh, man. Maybe it's further down. Maybe I missed it. There it is. Okay, yeah, it's there. I didn't forget it. Cool. All right, Samaro got some changes as well. Base health increased. Health regen increased to compensate. Mirror images also increased. Level 4 deflection trait. The armor is increased. So basically buffs across the board here for Samaro. Bonus damage actually slightly decreased here on Burning Blade. Phantom Pain. Bonus damage increased, and then Crushing Blows was popped up. Sparrow's rework has put him in a good position regarding his talent, pick, and win rates, as well as his overall performance. I've not actually seen a lot of Sparrow, so I can't really speak to it too much. In addition to some talent tuning changes, we decided to slightly increase the health to compensate for the fact that he now has to put himself into dangerous positions. So basically, just to recap here, with the new stealth changes, a lot of the damage was taken out of the clones and put into Samaro himself, which makes sense here. So they kind of changed things up just to make up for that fact. Valyra, slight adjustments. Garrote, silence duration reduced to 2.5. Still a very long silence. Crippling poison slow is reduced, and then hemorrhage damage is reduced. We're reducing the duration of Garrote's silence slightly, so that all openers feel viable, and reducing the damage of hemorrhage so that Valyra doesn't have as much damage while also being able to shut the target down. She's still not in a great spot, I think. It's tough. Like if you get picked off by Valyra, like if you get caught out in the open, she will absolutely punish you, but it's tough to get in there. That silence is a super long silence though. Zeratul, a little bit changes here. Move unseen, the increase trait speed up to 30%. Level 4, Darkness Descends, passive attack speed bonus increased, and then level 7, Warp Skirmisher, bonus attack damage increased from 30 to 40%. Zeratul currently has the lowest win rate out of all of our stealth heroes, which was quite surprising considering the changes. I don't think that was expected to get started with. So we're tuning some of his underperforming talents. He traditionally has been a higher performer as players learn to master him, so we'll be keeping an eye on him over time to see if he needs any more changes. I read this as we still think he's strong, and we think people will figure him out, but we're going to keep an eye on just in case. Mouth had a big rework, already changing the PTR. I'm not going to go through everything because not a whole lot of orange text here, but basically he's much more micromanaging now, kind of more active. Here, let's read the dev comments, which were not there in the PTR notes. While Malfurion has had many adjustments and talent shuffles over the past couple of years, his healing mechanics have stayed relatively straightforward. The core kit changes in this rework are intended to make his gameplay a bit more active, which is kind of true. You now really need to be in your game. He's less of a fire and forget healer. Tuning offensive pressure directly into healing output should reinvigorate Malfurion mains while also greatly raising his skill ceiling. So, again, rewarding players who play him well. We are very excited to see what you think and are actively listening to any and all feedback you have. Alune Garanta Strength. I just want to say, another Malf rework, and poor Raynor is still waiting for anything. Anyhow, Blaze. One change, health increased on Fortified Bunker. Health increased from 1300 to 1305. Ah yes, Blizzard's meme game is on point. Some changes to Garrosh. We had lots of nerfs the last game, last patch rather, when they changed the way Groundbreaker works, where it doesn't pull people forward any longer. It did get changed. Slow amount was increased, the cooldown was decreased, and the mana cost was decreased, which made Groundbreaker kind of more viable to use. Wrecking Ball, the cooldown, and the mana were reduced as well. Kind of compensate for the fact that they basically gutted him. Level 1, his Warbreaker talent, cooldown reduction reduced, which makes sense because they reduced the cooldown across the board. Damage increased from 50 to 55. I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference. Unrivaled Strength, bonus damage reduced slightly. At level 7, Into the Fray, the cooldown was increased, which is the one that let you toss your friends, which is tons of fun. At level 16, Earthshaker, stun duration reduced, mortal combo, cooldown reduction decreased, and then rough landing slow bonus amount decreased from 25 to 15%. Dev comment here. While the changes to Groundbreaker have helped Garrosh feel better to play against, we believe he can use some help with the ability to peel for his team and control the battlefield. We're also making some tuning changes to his talents to help their pick him in race. Playing against Garrosh since the change, I really felt like he was kind of neutered. I mean, yeah, he could still throw you, but I also felt like the only way he could throw you is if you let yourself get tossed, like you went up into his grill and he could, to send you out. I didn't see a whole lot of Garrosh's using Groundbreaker and then moving forward, and then actually, I didn't see a whole lot of Garrosh's being able to throw somebody off the stun. That's what I'm saying. I didn't see a whole lot of people combo. You get the stun and still have time to move forward and then throw people just for what it was. So maybe this will feel a little bit better. So you get a little bit. Oops, scroll a bit ahead too much. The slow is increased a little bit, and the cooldown is increased, so you get to cast it more often, and maybe with the slow increase, you'll be able to catch up to somebody and give them the heave-ho, and this might increase some of his pick potential from what it was before. We'll see. I think that's it. Oh, there's a Tyrael announcer. It sounds pretty good if you're a fan of announcers. I already bought the Blaze one. I did not pick up Tyrael yet, but I think I will just because why not? That's kind of what I like. And then some bug fixes. Enemies hit by Stormbow with explosive arrows talent will no longer be ignored by the piercing arrows talent. So Hanzo fix and a Nazebo fix as well. So that's it. That's kind of the patch out right now. I'm a fan of the Hanzo changes. I like where he's at right now. I do think let's go back up here. I do think the natural agility, even though it's still a shitty talent compared to Genji's, it does feel a lot better now with that little extra range. I've been able to hop over things that I couldn't previously. It just feels easier to hit and feels more smooth to get to. And then with the less spread on scatter arrows, like I do feel like it's more of a useful talent now. I'm not sure that you're gonna want to take that level 1 talent, but if you do now, you certainly can. It's much easier to hit. I've been able to complete that quite early in the games. So yeah, that's the rundown. Again, apologies, I am a little bit late on this one, just been a little bit busy, but I've got a couple of games with Blaze under me. We'll have a video forthcoming, and yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go and play a little bit more and get some practice in there with the new stuff with Blaze. So let me know what you think. Do you think Garrosh is going to be better now? Does that make up for it? Is Nova still too strong? I'm really not sure. She has her moments. Maybe the damage reduction will help out a little bit, but we'll see. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.